welcome back to the Mixing Music Podcast. I'm your host, Dee Kei, and with me, as always, is my lovely co-host, Low-Key Lu. And with us is special guest, all the way from New York, Chasestyle. Thank you so much for joining us, Chase. How you doing?
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks for coming. I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on here, man. I'm pretty excited about, speaking to you guys. And, like I said earlier, I admire your work ethic, Dee Kei, and just what you guys got going on. When I came out to visit, I'm like, man, these guys got it. I fuck with it. Yeah.
We appreciate the love. Yeah, this has been a wonderful, exciting morning, day of technical difficulties and problems that we've been having. You were supposed to be here in person, but the flight got canceled due to mechanical.
Flight got canceled.
I mean, it makes my earlier problem sound so stupid. I wanted to take the guys from Indonesia out to eat at a really good place. And it turns out they were closed. But over here, we got canceled flights and technical issues with the stream.
Once you hear technical issues with an airplane, you don't want to get on another one. So
No. Let's not combine that.
Like you ain't getting on that one. We'll wait. You know what I'm saying? So
we're grateful that we're able for the internet that we're able to do this remotely.
Yeah.
We appreciate your time.
No problem.
We even had internet issues and camera issues. It has literally taken us like a full-on hour just to figure our shit out, which is insane.
Yeah.
I apologize to everybody that's live on stream right now. Did you know that we live stream the recording of our podcast every week on Mondays at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Twitch?
Except for today. Today we're just a little late.
Well, today it's more like 2:33, but you can find our live stream and all of our past videos on my YouTube channel or on twitch.tv/DK Mixes. Also, Lou does a live stream every Monday night at 6 p.m.
Oh, yeah.
Where he goes over some mixes, answers some questions, and maybe even play some games or whatever if you're interested in that.
Mastered by Lou for that one.
Yeah, twitch.tv/Mastered by Lou.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, you're the
Let's get into
Smash Bros.
So
King, I heard.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Smash Bros. King, huh?
That's right.
I'd be smashing on people.
There's So let's get right into the episode today. We're gonna kind of delve into this and figure out exactly what we want to talk about. We have a couple talking points. But just to introduce Chase a little bit, Chase is out in New York.
Yes.
And he is a producer, artist, former artist, producer, engineer, recording engineer, mixing engineer, just an all-around awesome audio guy. We met for the first time in France at Mix with the Masters when we went to go see Leslie Brathwaite.
Yes, sir.
Since then, we've kept in touch. Chase, you're also a father. What else? What other hobbies outside of music?
I'd say a cool hat buyer.
Oh yeah, definitely into hats, and collecting hats and stuff like that. Also a sneaker guy, man, just like you, Dee Kei. I got my little sneaker collection. I got my sneaker collection. I see you a little bit over there, So
I'll just stick to my black Air Forces.
So Chase and I we've gone back quite a bit of time. If y'all remember, I've talked many times about how we went to France and we met up with, for the first time, Leslie Brathwaite, who is Chase and I's mentor, and one of our mentors, and has been a big influence. Chase, since then, has gone on to do many awesome things in New York, and I eventually moved to LA under the recommendation under Leslie's recommendation. And we've had a lot of cool opportunities to learn and grow. Now it's been, 3 years since we went out?
Yeah, 2019.
Yeah, so almost 3 years ago. Actually, almost exactly 3 years ago, which is crazy.
Almost exactly 3 years.
Let's start there. Let's start actually before Mix with the Masters. What's your come up? What's your story? You got an education and you pursued music longer than the average person. You have a lot of resilience, and then we went to Mix with the Masters, and then after that, tell us your whole story.
Yeah, man. For me, it started really from the beginning. In high school, I actually had a recording contract with Interscope Records. Back when I was about 17 years old. So at that time, my parents couldn't sign no contract, so we was just kind of like sitting on the table with it. Long story short, Elektra went bankrupt. All the artists that were actually signed to the label went over to Warner Music, and me and my group, I was in a group at the time, and we just got washed away. So it was kind of like, okay, these guys are good, but they're not signed to us and no officially. So that just happened with that. So I kind of been doing music ever since, and then just grew from an artist to a music producer, and then from a music producer to a mix engineer.
That's cool. So when was the official transition when you started mixing more?
When I went to school, when I went to Full Sail, I kind of fell in love with the art of mixing, and tried to implement my style of production into mixing, if that makes any sense. And that's why I was saying, like, me and you have a similar style, because we come from an artist standpoint. If people don't know, Dee Kei is a really, really good artist. You know what I'm saying? Songwriter, singer, arranger, he could do it. Don't act like he can't. He gonna act like he can't do it, but he could do it. You know what I'm saying? So, and I always admired that about him, because it reminded me of myself. So, and it's like, okay, when I listen to a mix, I'm trying to really produce it. I'm trying to like really be the artist in a way. You get what I'm saying? So that's it.
Yeah, there's definitely a difference between like a classically trained, we'll call it like traditionally trained, classically trained mixer that doesn't do very much on purpose, versus someone like us where we're kind of like producing mixers. And
and that's so what it is, and I think that separates us from a lot of different engineers, Not to say we're better than anybody. It's just a different approach. It's a different feeling. Like I'm not, even though I know the technical things. I went to school for it. I know 20 hertz is over here. 10K to 20K and this, that, and the third. We all know that. But what are you really adding to it? You get what I'm saying? What are you adding to the technical parts?
Absolutely.
You get what I'm saying? So.
And I like how you said it's not a better thing. It's literally just a style. And some people choose not to come to us because we do too much. So it's. So
right. Right.
On that note, I know a lot of people are going to ask about Full Sail, and because I know it's a little bit expensive, but Full Sail is notoriously known to be a really great school for audio education, video games, and film, TV, and stuff. Tell us about your time at Full Sail and how that was, and just in general, if it was worth it.
I mean, to be honest, I'm not going to lie, Full Sail pretty much changed my life, because I was one of those guys that thought I knew everything, or thought I was good enough, until I was hit with a whole bunch of shit like, nope, you're not, and no, you don't know everything. No, this is what it is. And then it's like, oh, and then, once you have that natural talent or that natural feel of music, and then you get locked in with the education and the theory, and it's just all connects. At some point, it has to connect, So, and that's what it did for me. So, and I needed it.
I actually had that kind of experience. I like how you said all that, because I feel like a big reason that a lot of people think they're going to school is so that they can become like a better artist or something. But it was like the technical side that like really kind of opened your eyes, like about how much you really didn't know and how much you were able to apply to it as an artist. It's not necessarily that you became a better artist, but you can now apply with more knowledge what you were doing as an artist, which is actually really cool.
You can't.
Yeah.
And and it's like, and then one day, and then from there, I pretty much just practiced all the time. You know what I'm saying? Practice all the time. At first, I was using Studio One. That was my favorite DAW. You couldn't get me to touch Pro Tools at all. I came to France, and when I came to France, and I thank Dee Kei, I thank Juan, I thank Rakim, Leslie, everybody that's there. Chase, learn Pro Tools. Learn it. Like, it's like, because you can have your favorite DAW, right? But for what I was trying to do and where I wanted to be, I had to learn Pro Tools. There was no question about it. If I want to be in any recording studio, working as an engineer, working as an assistant, as an intern, even if you want to, I don't know, be the receptionist, learn Pro Tools, learn the basics of Pro Tools, learn how to record, learn how to set up buses, that was the most confusing thing for me. I don't know if you remember. Juan was like, trying to explain to me, yeah, you put the kids on the bus, and when the bus goes this way with the children, and then they drop them off, like it was a whole bunch of shit he was saying.
Wait. Hold on. Was that an actual example used at Mix with the Masters?
We were trying to explain how like buses work. I don't really.
Oh, this wasn't part of the course. Yeah. You guys were just in conversation.
Nah, they was telling me because I was so like I was the only one there that didn't use.
Okay, cool. Because like I'm gonna start doing that now. I'm gonna start telling people that I'm putting kids on a bus. And I'm just gonna I'm gonna try to work that into my lesson program.
Right, and they drop them off to this. If you wanted to go to the verb, you got to drop them off at the verb. But when the verb, it was crazy. It was funny.
Yo, can I hear your explanation of parallels of Phresher at this point? Like, it's like now you take the kids and you throw them into the grinder.
And like, you clone them. And
right. You clone them, right? You clone them. And then you put water on them. And
you really experiment with one or two of them, try to see what happens.
No, for real. But I do remember that. Yeah. And that was actually a way fun time. So you were still going to Full Sail when Mix with the Masters happened, right? Because did you graduate like...
Yeah, I was still
going.
So
when did you officially...
Yeah, I graduated in 2019.
You graduated in 2019. So the end of... Okay, so it was like right after that.
Like a couple months after
that's
that.
Awesome.
Right.
That is super awesome. So then you started doing your own thing. I don't know exactly much of what happened, but I've seen pictures where you started like assisting and recording under big studios. You worked on some awesome consoles and some nice rooms out in New York. Tell us a little bit about post Mix with the Masters.
So post Mix with the Masters, I graduated. Mix with the Masters was like April, May. I graduated in November of 2019. So my whole plan was to just right after graduation, just hit the streets and, go to Atlanta, know a whole bunch of people and try to get in studios and things like that. But then COVID hit, boom, stopped my whole, my whole process, this is my graduation, my next 6 months, grind hard, and I got hit with the pandemic. So that kind of slowed everything down. But thankfully later on, during the summer, I had got a position over at the Hit Factory. In New York City.
That. I remember you
now
posted
called
about that.
Germano's. Yeah, now called Germano Studios, and and it was a great time, a great experience there. Learning the SSL duality console,
I love that console.
Learning the patch bays. Yeah, it sounds really good, man. It's like anything you run through that bitch is like it's coming out good. You know what I'm saying? So and yeah, I was there for a couple months working on different records. Worked on the Sopranos movie. Worked on a couple joints with Joey Badass, a couple of records with other people we had up in there. Keith Sir Richards. It was a lot of different legendary people that came through too. Not so much hip hop and R&B. More the old school, rock guys. Those guys were in there.
There's still probably a lot of, especially from working on genres outside of what you're comfortable with. I assume there's lots of opportunities to learn. I feel like working on genres that you're not comfortable with is actually a really great place to learn and improve your craft. How did you feel about that?
I agree. Working on like a lot of rock music, I think it helped me with positioning drums. You know what I'm saying? Like sonically, not just because it's like it's hard to explain. See, this is the type of shit it's hard to explain. All right, so when you have a drum setup, you know how the drum setup is certain positions of the drums, right? I learned how to hear it through the speakers and not just visually, if that makes any sense.
Do you feel like that part of that also took away from creative panning of the drums? Because as a guy that came from rock, I remember somebody once told me that like, oh, you pan the drums like a drum set. I was actually looking for something a little more abstract.
Right.
Do you feel like it's kind of changed your judgment of how to place your drums?
That's an uncommon request, I feel like. That's
yeah,
kind of a fun one.
Yeah, it's fun because like I have different clients and different things, but like sometimes like there was a point where I was working with like some like dark wave rock kind of stuff, like gothic music where it's like kind of like electronic kind of rock kind of stuff, and they like to get experimental with their sound.
They want the snare all the way on the right and the kick drum all the way on the left.
They want like the kick drum like super distorted and all kinds of stuff. Like it's wild. But like I remember when I first started doing hip hop, I kept myself in the mindset of rock. I was learning the mindset of hip hop. and I panned it too much like rock. Apparently, like the
Interesting.
high rack tom on in drummer perspective, like top left or top right, and then floor tom to the right. You know, and they're like, it just feels a little too live. Like I was looking for like hard hitting like hip hop. I was like, I don't understand.
So with Chase, so did you
Right,
actually
right.
take part in the recording of the drum kits as well?
More or less the setup, and not necessarily the recording part, but just the setup and the actual
And mic
listening,
placement, I assume?
listening part.
How
Right,
was
correct.
that? What did you learn from your time there about?
I hated it. I hated Mike. I hated doing
love
it.
doing it.
It's not my thing.
Hey, at least you know now.
And there was another. Yeah, there was another engineer that was there. He was just like, he loved just like the trying to have it perfectly set up and then going back and listening to it. I'm like, man, listen. He just loved this. Is something that you gotta like to do. Just like
I think that's actually a really good point to make. Where I feel like sometimes people try to do things because they think they're supposed to, and then quick chasing after things that are just fulfilling.
Yeah, I found myself, I think, like that. I think I told you about like 2 years ago, like when we first met, where I was a little bit burnt out working on the stuff that was making me money. And I had to find my way back to working on stuff that made me happy. Yeah. Because I would like 2019, like just before the pandemic, I was working so much that even my fiance would tell me, she's like, I never see you. But at that point, like I found out that I did break 6 figures for the first time, just as an engineer, period.
Oh, wow.
No external work. But I also found myself in a state where I was taking on so much work just because of the money that I no longer enjoyed what I was doing. And then I found my way back to working with artists who I dropped my prices. I raised my standards as far as people I'm willing to deal with, but I fell back into love.
Right.
I fell back in love with the process of working with these artists rather than just taking on whatever made me money.
Yeah, that's a fear of mine, to be honest, to fall out of the love for doing what I do. Because I'll do what I do for no matter amount of money. You know what I'm
And I
saying?
think that's like a pretty common thing. I've heard that a lot with engineers and producers. Have you ever gotten to the point where you felt like you were on the verge of falling out of love?
Like, did you ever have to take a break?
Yeah, a couple times. It was more of being discouraged because I always had confidence in myself and my ability to do music, but you know, it's hard when opportunities don't come, when opportunities are supposed to come and then they don't come, you know. So yeah, it's been tough.
Yeah.
Of course. That's probably where they opportunities just leave you hanging. I know how that goes.
Yeah.
I think all of us do.
All the time.
I think the
you
thing
know,
that was the most discouraging is whenever Chase, I'm not going to ask you numbers or anything, so you don't have to say specifics, but I'm sure this is something that you might have adapted into your workflow. When dealing with a label, for instance, like we get these great opportunities, but they want to pay you 2-3 months later. Have you had to adapt that into your work? Because I know in New York, there's a lot of indie just as much as there's corporate gigs and all that. But like, I know in a lot of these major rooms, like there's label budgets going on. So there's also delayed payments. And I know for me, label budgets was always kind of like, I guess not demoralizing, but like you were liking the project less because you were having a harder time paying your bills, even if it was more money.
Because they paid so late.
You said I was liking the. So you said do I like the
Not do you like it, but have you had to adapt your workflow to these things, or have you managed to stay one lane or the other?
I think I still have a weird way of just handling my business on that side because I love doing it so much. So it's one of those things that I'm actually still learning and figuring out. All you engineers out there, you got to figure out your business. You got to figure out how you're going to accept money, like what you accept, and how much, and what amount of work is on the session and things like that. I'm still like in that world, where it's like a label. I'm still waiting on some payments for some labels. 3-4 months. And so where I could have not done the work and just been happy not doing it, but I'm more happy doing it.
Yeah.
You get what I mean?
So tell us the biggest thing, couple of the biggest technical things that you learned while your time at the Hit Factory.
Or like some moments that
things.
like maybe they did something a certain way that just like
That
you couldn't have been happier to have learned that one thing.
I think for me it was more or less how analog gears really sounds.
Okay.
You get what I mean? Like just kind of hearing the quality, hearing the warmth, hearing the difference, and learning the difference between analog and digital.
Okay. Would you not to make you choose sides or anything, but would you say that it's something that, let's say that you're completely in the box now, you would invest in the future once it becomes a more feasible budget?
Yes. Like I like the hybrid approach. Okay. Where it's both analog and digital. You can't go wrong with that shit. Can't go wrong. Well, what's your guys' setup? Your guys are kind of like a hybrid kind of setup,
So me and DK are two sides of the same coin. We both do believe that there's a quality to analog gear, but we also both believe that you don't need it to become a good engineer and to have a good output. But the way I like to look at things is this. I really do believe that analog gear makes a difference, and I believe that you can hear it immediately. Now, I do also believe that you can achieve it in the box, but if I can get to point A, if I can get from A to point B significantly faster and significantly easier, I'm the type of person that commits everything he does, so I don't do backtracking of anything. So I have no gear with I have no problem with recalls because there's nothing to recall.
Right. That was the worst. The recall.
Yeah, that shit's annoying. So just commit on the way in. Like, just be confident in your moves.
I would say that, like, this is piggybacking on that. I think the nicest thing about working in a bigger studio with higher budgets and with bigger artists is that you'd think they'd become a little bit more higher maintenance, right? And there are parts of it where they are, absolutely. But the ones that are always asking for the most amount of revisions and are like the least comfortable with their own sound are the ones without very much budget. Are the artists where they're like, we can barely afford anything with a mix. They're going to ask for 100, like, not 100, but like, they're going to ask for a lot more revisions than the person.
It's a good amount. It's a good amount.
I'll be honest. Every time I give a discount, I get more revision requests.
I think the most I did had to be about 20, 21.
Oh, wow. That's more than I've 22. Ever done.
That was
no, you know what? I lied. No, I've done more than that, but I think I did that because it was a very educational experience. The Adam Turchin album that I worked on took 9 months to finish the mixing and mastering with like 3, sometimes 4 days a week sessions and all that, because it was not only his first album, but it was also my first major associated album where it had like Terrace Martin on it. It had like Sputs from Snarky Puppy on it. It had like all like Grammy award winning and nominated people, and I was the small fry in the room. So like I was happily doing every revision that I could because I was after the best end result, but I do remember burning out like twice over in that album because of how many revisions there were.
I had a little epiphany this week where I need to stop being the guy, or not this week, this last
Hey man, you are the guy. You're the cool guy.
No, but I need to stop being the guy that's complaining about revisions. Like, I really don't think that that's good for the artist. Like, if Chase was the artist coming to me right now, and I'm like, yo, we're going to get this awesome, we're going to get this mix dope, and then Chase genuinely had a revision that he wanted to change, like, I just want less reverb or delay in this one part. And if I acted anything less than, oh yeah, of course, I'll do that for you, then it's just like a bummer from the artist's end. So like, I know that I complain about revisions, but I'm going to change how I view myself, my identity about this, and I'm going to start loving revisions to a limit.
I know we talked about this earlier too today. I
get you.
No, we were saying like, you know, I don't really mind doing revisions. I just mind when it starts making the record worse.
But like, it's so subjective.
It is. It really is. At the end of the day, it's not my record.
I mean, the whole idea of it. Now that's a good point to point this out. Do you feel like people should hire you not for your service, but for who you are?
I believe they should hire you for what you are able to provide in return. But at the end of the day, we are in a service-based industry. So though it is our flavor, at the end of the day, it's their vision.
I think that I work and I hope that people hire me for my sound, and I'm sure that people do, but I would say that 80, 90%, or sometimes even 100%, like lots of cats that have never heard me work, still just want to work with me because I'm me. And Chase is Chase, and Lu is Lu.
Right. That's pretty much what I hope for my career. It's like, because I do get a lot of people to mix songs. Like, hey, can you mix my record? I'll mix your record. But it's like, it almost feels like you're doing it because it's just a service. Like, you can go to anybody and find anybody that's affordable at the time and just get it done. That's not me. That's not who I am. That's not what I do. If you're not going to let me do what I do, then I'd rather not even do it. You get what I'm saying?
You know, I've adopted a policy on almost every client. If I've never heard of you before and we have no mutual friends, which means I have no knowledge of your sound or your style at all, I will actually ask for you to send me the song first, and I will listen to it and tell you if I want to mix it. Reason being is that I don't want to take on any more projects that I will regret, even if they did afford me. Like, I don't mind dropping my price to make myself more affordable for artists if I really like somebody. And I feel like a big part of what I'm doing now is selecting my clients based off of their personality and who they are as an individual. Exactly. Like, do you do good business? Right. Okay, let's start there. Cool. Are you the type that's very temperamental and extremely needy? Are you going to be hitting me up every 5 minutes? Like, if that's the case, like, micromanagement usually doesn't bode well for end results. You know, I've decided to become selective.
I'm the same way, but I do it for a slightly different reason. I've been, for the last year to 2 years, I've been doing the same thing. Like, in my quote system, when they fill out the form, it's always like, send me a demo or a link. And if they don't, I'll respond and be like, send me a demo or a link. Less about, well, it's, for me, it's mostly about, I need to find out if it's something good that I want to work on, but more for my mental health.
Right.
Because, like, I'm always on the verge of burning out, I feel like, and I'm not afraid of it. I don't want to live my life scared.
It just stopped working.
But I definitely am paying attention to if I want to work on it, because if I want to work on a project, I'm going to do a better job on it. The client's going to be happier. It's partially for me, but it's also partially for them. I really don't want to work with someone where, like, I don't believe in it, at least for their sake. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So please help me. How do I say no?
You know, I actually got it just on that, exactly on what he asked. Quick shout out to Gerald Keys, Ludacris's engineer and producer. He was
here a little bit ago.
Yeah, he was. In fact, we have an episode that's unreleased with him too.
Oh, that's right. You talked to him. Oh, that's who the.
So the funny thing is, me and him used to work the same minimum wage job. Like, I have so much respect for the people that I used to work with because we all came from the same jobs, and I've seen everybody grow. But the one thing that he said that's dope. I've never not thought about when I talk to a client is the only issue with discounting your price is that you will never work as hard as you would have had it been your original price. If you feel like you're getting the small end of the bargain or like you're being underhanded, you won't do as good. And if you're not going to do as good, don't take the job. Don't deliver a bad product. If you don't feel like you're going to go into it with full intention, just don't take the project. Yeah. And
no matter the price.
And the funny thing is, like, if you feel like discounting it is going to make you do less, don't discount it. Just say no.
Yeah. That being said, I do think that I do have a knack and a talent for being able to find good in everything, even if it's like a total.
You love project. Outsider music.
Like, even if it's shitty, if it's weird shitty, then I would like love it. I'll be like, yes, this is dope. But
yeah, I'm the same way. I've mixed some songs. It's like it's trash, but when you listen to it,
you ever listen to a song that it's like trash, but like you can feel their energy, like they're all hype on the track, and you're like, oh, I kind of just want to bounce while mixing this. Like it's not the greatest song I've heard, but like I could totally get into this.
And also,
and that's because of you. That's what I'm saying. It wasn't the artist; it's because of what you did to it. You get what I'm saying? And that's that as engineers, we should like start putting out there, because I think a lot of people look at us as the guys that's behind the board, and these guys they're not really talented. They just technical. They just smart. You get what I'm saying?
Do you feel
like no,
because like you said, like some people are just technically good, But do you feel like a big part of it is building a relationship with the people you've worked with? Like now that you've gone to like mix with the masters and you've seen other people work and all that, like you've now got your education, you've become technically proficient. But do you feel like there's a correlation to the relationship you have with them, or just knowing their genre?
I think just knowing their genre, just studying on their sound, because you can definitely mix a song like that's like folk music, but you could just study. Once you just study folk music, listen to it for a couple of hours or a day or two if you got time. Just listen to how the sonics is, and then go ahead and do it because you know the technical side of it, and then you also know music. You know what sounds good or what don't sound good. As a professional engineer, you know what sounds good, you know what doesn't sound good. So. People like us, sometimes I understand the revision stuff, but sometimes it's like it gets OD. Like, this sounds good. What y'all talking about?
Yeah.
You're bugging.
Yeah.
So, I want to come back to the topic here, but so after Hit Factory and whatnot, you survived the pandemic. I think we're finally starting to get out of it. Even in California, they lifted the mask mandates, and I know in New York they stopped carding people at restaurants and things. Which is we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, and everybody's starting to step out a little bit and hoping that it's gonna be okay.
Do we have a human groundhog for this?
But how has it been in the last 2-3 years? Like after the Hit Factory, you got some really good experience there. Are you still helping out there every once in a while, or?
Nah, I'm definitely on like an on-call kind of basis right now. But I after the Hit Factory situation, I went out to Atlanta. I was out in Atlanta for a little while, and I ran into a friend of mine who his name is Manny. Shout out to Manny to Connect. And he's like, "Yo, Chase, I'm doing a whole bunch of stuff. I got a club. I'm doing this, doing that." He's just like changed his whole life around, man. And he was telling me he managed an artist named Derez Deshawn. I'm like, "Ain't that the guy that sang the Hardaway record?" He's like, "Yeah, that's my artist." I'm like, "For real?" Because, I don't really believe a lot of people. That's just me. And when people say stuff, "Oh, yeah, I got this." No, you don't. That's just my attitude. But more playful than anything. And and he's like, "Yeah, it was great timing because we're looking for a mix engineer for his next project." And I'm like, "Shit, let's do it." You know what I'm saying? And that's it. And I've been rocking with them ever since. And we dropped a couple of records. All of them is well over 1 million views and streams and stuff, all of that. That's all the business side, but doing very well, and I'm very proud of it and happy.
That's awesome. Yeah. Congratulations, first off. And isn't it funny how
thank you.
This is something that I said in a few episodes ago. We talked about this, which is like if you just stay in the game long enough, some sort of success is like inevitable.
And it's usually in a really random way. Every time I ask people, like, "So how'd you get connected with that?" It's like, "Well, I tripped because I didn't tie my shoe, and it just so happened I tripped on Britney Spears, and I became her engineer." I don't know. Like, it's always something like that. Like, for me, I have the craziest story of how, like, I started working for Keyshia. Like, I was actually booked to engineer for her twice over, and both of those sessions fell through. Like, I never got in the room with her. Then, like, a year later, BP, her photographer, hits me up. He's like, "Yo, I got a friend of mine. She's got a studio in her house. Like, it needs to be rewired, this and that. I can't really tell you who it is because of privacy reasons, this and that." So I had to park my car at a Starbucks down the street and then get into a blacked out truck. And then they drove me to an undisclosed location, and I get out, and it's Keyshia. And I fix up her studio. Like, we talk, we connect, and she's like, "Hey, can you do like a one-off session for me?" I'm like, "Cool." Like, just, work in the room.
Like, I'm like,
no. I was like, "All right, cool. Yeah, totally." Like, because from my understanding, she had another engineer. But then she asked me something, which was, "So what do you want?" Or it came down to the lines of like, "So what do you want out of all this? Like, why are you like doing this?" I'm like, "I don't know. I just want to be happy. I don't know what that means. I just want to be happy." And she really resonated with that, and shortly after offered me to start working with her. But I was literally in a blacked out truck the night before. That's actually a
really sweet story. I didn't know about the happy bit.
Yeah.
That's a really sweet story.
That's the model of my entire life, and that's why I decided I'm willing to take less money now than I used to. I just don't want to fall out of love with it again.
Yeah.
Right.
So you started working with this guy, and I assume there's like more other projects and whatnot, but in general, you've started mixing a lot more.
Yeah, I started mixing a lot more, way more. And I wanted to ask you guys, was there at any point, right, you knew your mixes were okay, right? But then it's like something hits you. It's like something changed. Whether it's like you're something just changes in you, and it's like, yo, I hear it differently than how I heard it before, and it's better. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Like almost like an epiphany, like, and then you start hearing, because I was always listening for imperfections in other music, right? I can never catch it. I can never like absorb the music well enough that's out there, that's streaming, that's, a bunch of Leslie stuff, a bunch of Jason Joshua, Josh Gooden. I'm listening and then now it's like I hear it now. Now I hear everything. Now it's like, okay, I think my mix is better than his. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I was wondering if that ever happened to you guys.
It did happen to me, and in a really weird way. I guess in a cautionary tale kind of way, which was I felt extremely burnt out. I was trying really hard about 5 years ago. And this is like when I finally started getting my stride of like getting really good at it, and my success was really starting to come in. I burnt out trying to learn too much and trying to compare myself too much. And when I finally burnt out and took a pause for like a few months, like there was like a few months where I didn't record, didn't mix, didn't write music anymore. Like I really just took a break. Like it was an emotional break. In that emotional break, I decided to take a step back and listen to music I didn't listen to. I started listening to like Daniel Caesar, who was already around, but like I didn't really pay attention to him. And I just started listening to music just to try to have fun listening to music again. Kind of like the guy that directs movies doesn't like going to the movies because he's going to critique the movie instead of enjoy the movie. I tried to just go back to enjoying music, and because of that, when I came back, I already knew what technical options there was to execute on ideas. But now that I was listening to it from a new perspective, one out of enjoyment, I found my mixes got extremely better almost immediately because I started thinking from a creative standpoint than a technical standpoint.
Actually, that's actually a really good point. I do think that young engineers, like some of these young engineers will like flex and be like, oh, I can't listen to music without being critical of it.
Oh, I got the best headphones to listen to every imperfection.
It's like, oh, like I'm in the car. It's like, oh, these frequencies here. And honestly speaking, I think that that's more hurtful than helpful.
Yeah.
I think that it's important for every engineer to learn how to just enjoy music because it is like an emotional, it's an emotional language. It's not meant to be a technical thing. And it's funny because like, you say like, oh, my mix sounds better than Josh Goodwin's, but like, it's
he
also
might say the same thing all the way.
Yeah, he might say the same thing about his, right?
Right. That's why. Yeah, it's very subjective. Very very subjective.
And I think to your,
that's why it's like, but that's my point. That's why it's like, how can any mix be wrong? You
exactly.
People say,
so I think that if you're less critical and more open minded, I think it's the thing that you're talking about. At least for me, has become more a sense of like self-acceptance and confidence where it's like, oh, I understand now that it matters less and I'm allowed to like my own stuff more than some other professional. And
bing, oh my God, you get it.
Like, exactly. Like,
cause I talked to other engineers about this exact thing. And it's like, they don't get it. It's like, bro, you're supposed to like it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're smart enough, you're technical enough, you're creative enough, you're a professional mix engineer.
Yeah.
Right? You like your shit.
Yeah. And I think that there's like a humble thing in two ways. In the first obvious way of humility would be like, oh, there's obviously lots of things that I can learn from other people. But I also think there's another side of that coin where you're humble enough to recognize that you just might be good.
Yeah. A lot of times people get caught up in the popularity of things too. Cause like, I was telling Dee Kei earlier, like I was hanging out with a friend this past Saturday night, Bo, and I went to his house and I would just went to hang out, have a beer, listen to some Genelec monitors that he wanted to show me. And then he showed me some of the music he produced and I was instantly mind blown. I'm like, dude, you're like the most humble guy in the world. And like, I would party so hard to like I don't listen to electronic or anything, but I would go so hard at the club. I'd be with all the whistles and the glow sticks and everything. like this is amazing. Like, and he's like, yeah, I just I was doing it for a while and then I kind of burnt out and then I just kind of was doing things for myself and now he's like kind of paused out of music. But like the guy next door could be a significantly better music producer, mixer, whatever. And you might not even know it. It's not all about if everybody knows you or not, if that means you're successful or not. It's about whether you get the results that you're looking for when you attempt whatever you've attempted.
To do something.
If you set out to get a great vocal mix and you feel like it sounds great, Joe Meek said it best. If it sounds good, it is good.
Yeah. And because I always went back to referencing records all the time. I actually do that less now. It all depends. But I used to just try to reference records, try to make it sound like this, try to make it sound like it don't sound like this. It don't sound like that record. Oh my God, I can't mix. I can't do shit. You know, but it sounds so awesome and great to me, and I let other people hear it. Oh, this sounds good. What you talking about? And let the other, I don't know. I don't hear nothing wrong. It's like, but it don't sound like this song over here. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you got to get to a point where you know that you're good, you're the shit, and it's okay to say it. You're not saying it to be arrogant or be cocky, you know, nothing. It's just giving off the confidence that your work is good, you know, and it's okay.
So I want to ask you, how exactly was it for you to kind of turn it back on you? Like, was it an instant? Was there a moment, or was it over
was
time?
it like you were watching
That's
a
what
cartoon?
I'm saying. It was just a moment that I just had when I was listening to. I was mixing an unreleased record by Derez Deshawn, and I'm listening back to it. I'm like, this shit is clean as fuck. It's like there's no way. Like, because I'm so critical of myself, and I'm always trying to do the right thing. I'm always trying to do the right technical thing. I'm always trying to do the right artistic thing, and I'm always beating myself up. And I'm like, nah, this shit is good. And then I listen to other stuff that I did. Nah, this shit is good too. And I listen to others, and I'm like, what? Like, oh shit, I think I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Because you always have that self-doubt.
Yeah.
You know, because that's why you're always trying to listen. You always try to go to the car, let it, you know, hear it in the car, hear it on the Bluetooth speaker, hear it in headphones, and you know, you're always questioning yourself. And I stopped. I had to stop doing that.
You know, I've actually had to change my mindset on referencing music because I've actually changed the way I actually do it. Because a lot of times I was listening to music and trying to see, okay, the bass content's here. This is where they've rolled off the vocal. And I had to get myself out of the technical mindset of it. But creatively speaking, like, okay, the snare is actually pretty loud and it's kind of in front of the vocal, but it gives this vibe. And I started listening to the vibe of the reference more than I started listening to the actual sonic character of it. Because every record that I get sounds different. Every sample is different, unless it's the same producer using the same samples every time and likes the same mix every time.
Right.
Every mix is different. I've never approached the same thing. No template has ever worked. But the one thing that I have been doing is like listening to different genres now, which I used to be like that metal guy that's like, if it's not metal, I don't want to listen to it. You know, but you know, the reality is like I had to open my ears to different genres to get better. And like today, while we were driving to the unfortunately closed restaurant, such a bummer. Not as bad as missed flight or canceled flight or whatever. But, you know, I was showing them a song called Traffic by Loudpack. Pack spelled PVCK. But like it goes so hard on the bass. It's so loud, the mix. And like it doesn't sound overly compressed. And I was just like, I totally want to party to this song. I wasn't listening to it like, wow, it's getting -6 loofs or anything. No, I was just like, this thing goes so goddamn hard. Like, I wonder what the mix was like for this because everything's so awesome.
Yeah.
And I just want awesome as my mix. I don't want -6. I want awesome.
Hey, awesome. I like that.
So
what's your love set? It's at awesome.
Yeah. It's like, yo, so like, what are you using to meter? I use a slope of about 3 awesomes.
Yeah, right. Yeah, man. And once you I guess accept that that confidence in yourself, man, it's game time, man.
I really do think that that's like a very life-changing thing that
moment when it clicks.
I feel like
when it clicks.
Yeah, I don't really know if this is something that's inevitable or if we're just really lucky or, you know, for me it was maybe it's the dad that never really fully approved of what I was doing mentality. It wasn't until like I met Leslie and if you remember, like he kind of like approved my mix. And then at that point,
I do remember
that's when I
that.
started the pop.
Because yes, you did doubt yourself a lot. I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember.
like crazy.
And then that Yeah, and we was all like, "Yo, DK, what are you talking
Like,
about?"
that's just good.
It's the same. Yeah, same. Yeah, that's just
And then
good.
it was
I
at that
remember
point where I realized, and I don't think my mixes like got better all of a sudden. It was more about my mentality around it. Like I started to feel a lot happier, and like I started recognizing, oh my goodness, I think I might actually be good, or at least worthy of standing up against other people. You know,
Right.
So
There
let me
you go.
ask this to
that
both of
changed my
you.
life forever.
So let me ask this to both of you now, because I like what you just said. It may not have been necessarily that you got any better. Just your mental approach to what you thought you were doing. You no longer thought you were that bad. In fact, you recognized the growth that you've been seeing. Like, you go to the gym every day. You don't lose 5 pounds immediately. You don't gain muscle immediately. That takes time. But like, your mentality is what clicked, not your progress. The progress was
Right. The
forever
mentality
going,
clicked.
you know?
Yeah.
So like, would you guys say that the
'Cause you
click
can always
wasn't
learn and
necessarily
learn
that you
new
suddenly
things.
got better, but rather you suddenly appreciated your work?
What do you think, Chase?
All of that. Right. No, he's absolutely right. Because in this business, you can always learn something new. You can always grow. There's always some new technique that's out there. There's a new sound that's coming up. So it's more about accepting that what you had said, Lou. What did you have said? Accepting that you were good and accepting that you were that good, but not that bad.
Yeah, it's more about like
You know what I'm saying?
no longer criticizing yourself in the negative, but recognizing that, you know what? It's not that I'm great, but I shouldn't have criticized myself that bad. Like, I'm not bad.
I try to
Right.
remind like students and interns anytime that I like sit down and give lessons for mixing. I feel like I try to make a big point of this in the sense that I remind the students that like I'm older than you. You probably have better ears than I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and it comes back to again being super critical when you're listening and whatnot. Like the tools don't matter. 200 hertz in a snare drum isn't what matters. It's more of the ability to recognize I want the snare drum to be thicker because it hits a little bit harder.
Yeah.
How you do it, and
Right.
technically speaking, is a matter of taste and tech. Like that doesn't matter as much. But being able to like, because we all listen to music. Anybody that does this, we love and listen to music. You know, we didn't come into this because we did art and just needed to get. You know what I'm saying? Like did like
Right.
art on canvas. Anyway, we did this because we love music.
Yeah.
And I can almost say, especially recently, like I still do a lot of listening, but I don't go into the car and turn on the radio first thing as much as I used to in high school. And there's many like people that I teach, many interns and students where like they listen to a lot more music and spend tens of thousands of more hours on Spotify in a year than I do. I'm like, you're allowed to, you know, have a taste, and you just need to be confident with your taste. People are always like, oh, like I need to, like the other day, like one of the people I was giving a lesson with is like, I was working on this bass track and I was trying to figure out what this bass can do. And I felt like that was like the wrong question to ask. It's not about what the bass can do. It's like, nah, what do you want the bass to do? And everything that you're doing is like just
how
getting
do you want it to sound?
Exactly.
So I have a tip for some people. Like I guess it's kind of like a beginner level tip, right? And this is what I do on something like a hi-hat, right? Because I'm very my ears is very sensitive to that sound. So you go on a hi-hat, you want the hi-hat to hit a certain way, right? Simple. Put an EQ on it. I like the API 500, throw that on there and just go through different presets. Each preset is going to give you a different sound, a different taste, a different something, and just pick which one sounds good with everything else. You know what I'm saying? That's going on.
You know what's my favorite thing with
You know? And
presets
that's it.
is when you hear the name of or when you read the name and then you listen to it and then you try to associate. Because sometimes I have a really hard time associating what they thought that sounded like to what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
It's called Master Thump, but it's like cut in the low end.
Yeah. My favorite one was like big and large, and it was like a stereo widener, like at max and everything. I was like, wow, that sounds really thin and horrible.
Right.
Again, depends on the source.
But
Yeah,
depending
exactly. It could have been
depending
like
on
a
the
really
rest
cool
of the
sample.
instruments. And yeah, depending on the rest of the instruments, depending on the song, you know, something like that might work for that. You know, it might not work. Just go through it and just, you know, and start learning that EQ is very important. and you can definitely change the sound of a hi hat or a snare or anything just with different presets on that EQ. Just pick one and figure out how it sounds, and go from there.
So Chase, what do you foresee in your future journey? Like it's crazy to think that after this self-discovery, it's only been a short amount of time. We have decades more. Isn't that crazy to think about?
Oh my God, you're right.
What do you foresee in your decades in the future?
Man, especially with the artists that I'm working with right now, man, I see just a ton of success with being a part of their legacy. Because I'm more of the wanting to have a name in history or someone's history. You know what I'm saying? It's not no amount of money can what's the word I'm looking for? Take over that feeling. You get what I'm saying? So from the Grammys to platinum plaques, working towards a gold plaque right now actually, but just a whole bunch of success, man, doing this music thing and love doing it, and that's pretty much it, man.
You're just in you've got your direction figured out. You're just in the put your head down and grind phase. Yeah,
I'm in the put my head down, grind, just keeping it forward, man. Tunnel vision focused, 100%.
That's so awesome. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It's
man, I'm about to get a gold record.
I know,
bro.
that's crazy. Congratulations.
That's crazy.
Congratulations.
Word, man. This shit is taking a little bit longer than it used to, but
Hey man, I waited 2 years after the release of one of the songs for my first one, and I still have not been able to order it because the artist has not ordered theirs. But I kid you not, it could be 5 years before they order it. When the day I get it, like in my hands, it'll feel just as special as the day it was announced. Like, trust me, bro. Like, once you get there, please call me. I will share that excitement with you.
Yeah, thank you, man.
That's
Appreciate
awesome.
it.
Congratulations. It's a big achievement.
Thank you.
Yeah,
man.
I want to say this, but I want to preface and if I say this, it sounds like no, I'm just gonna say it. Is I'm really, really proud of you and your growth, and I think that seeing you grow and kind of seeing how you adapt and learn and how you change for the better and how you kind of figure shit out both musically and in general in life. I'm really, really proud to have been part of a group with you. I wouldn't say I know it was just like a week-long seminar, but it almost feels like the same high school graduating class type deal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely feels like that. And back to you, man. Proud of your growth and you making that scary move from Utah to LA. A lot of people hear these kind of stories about people, but you don't really know the people. I actually know what you did. I know the sacrifice that you made and things that you're going through with your family and stuff like that. I really admire everything you got going on, you're doing. And, same deal, man.
I appreciate that. It's, oh man, I'm really grateful that neither of us quit music.
Yeah. I was never going to do it.
I wasn't going to quit either.
Talk shit. I wasn't gonna do it. I might talk shit, but I'm not. This is what I've been born to do. And I know that because of the growth. You get what I'm saying? Because of I didn't even realize I was mixing and mastering my own music back in early 2000s, right? Not knowing a blip of the technical stuff. You know what I'm saying? But now it's like I hear everything, I understand everything. It's because I was born to do this. You know what I mean?
I think that's important. I think it's important to recognize that it took you, a decade to kind of finally get your of starting, and I think that's like a realistic time frame. People continue to negate the importance of experience.
Yeah,
like why?
It takes. I
started mixing 6 months ago. Why am I not better? Just enjoy it. All you can do is enjoy it. And I love that you said that. What's important to you is that you live for this. It doesn't matter if you're good or not. You just love doing it. And I think that that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Give us a couple of your best tips for anybody listening right now. Listen to the podcast. What is your, from beginner to intermediate, what is your best tips for growth?
Best tips for growth would be self-aware. Know what you're good at, know what you're not good at. Like, don't bullshit yourself. If you're not good at it, it's okay that you're not good at it. Because I've helped a lot of other students at Full Sail, and I had to be honest with certain people where it's like it's just not it's not it, you know? Sometimes you have to hit them with that harsh reality. Like this is not what you're good at. You might be good at playing the instrument, but you're not good at doing this. And that's okay. You know what I'm saying? So be more self-aware. So you're not beating yourself up all the time when you're getting no's from opportunities, and when you're not getting the job, and you're not being picked to mix a song. You're not being picked to produce a record. You get what I'm saying? Be self-aware. That's number one, my opinion. And people that know they're good and understand that they're good, know that you can always learn, know that there's always someone out there better, that's gonna work harder than you, no matter how much talent you got. And the people that work the hardest are the ones that normally get picked first. And just have fun with it, man. Have fun with the process. Whatever you go through, the bad, the ups, the good, the down, just trust the process, run through it, connect with however many people you can connect with that loves and does the same thing as you. Don't be connecting with people that don't do what you do. That's just going to distract you. Stick to the people. Just like I'm talking to Dee Kei and Lu, there's a reason for that. You get what I'm saying? I don't talk to anybody that don't do what I do, that don't have the same passion like I do for music and mixing. Like, we have a passion for making records sound good. How crazy is that?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
I'm gonna butcher this quote, but I thought I read somewhere. I've said this before, maybe I don't remember. The transference of confidence by being around passionate people is enlightenment.
That could have been potentially budgeted. I would have no idea.
Actually, that was pretty spot on. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think
my legs went out.
Dude, you said it was enlightenment and you took him into the darkness. What is wrong with you, DK? You're a witch. And I shall burn you at the stake.
That was it. That show's over. That's it. That was the end.
for anybody that's watching the podcast, the lights turned off in Chase's place. That's why.
Maybe
there's no visual. There's not always a visual element.
Maybe
to
it's the flashy Hashira that's around him right now. He took all the light.
Yeah, and then, but yeah, thank you so much for joining us, Chase. Really insightful. I think that there's lots of things that people can learn from our conversation. We got to learn a lot more about you in general as well. Yeah. Thank you so much for
pulling
up.
I'm interested in doing a lot more, podcasts and interviews and things like this, just to put myself out there more, for one, and then also just be more involved in the engineer community. Now that I kind of label myself as an engineer and not just a producer, or I would say a producer engineer, right? That's what I like to call myself. I don't really necessarily like the mix engineer, because people they still put you in that weird box, when it's like, no, we're more than just mix engineers. We produce the sound. You get what I'm saying? We're producing what you hear. You don't understand how shitty them rough mixes be sounding when we first get them. Y'all don't understand that.
Yo, I hate to wrap on this question, but how do you feel? And this is completely perspective at this point. How do you feel when you get asked if, no, not asked, you mix a song, they compare it to the rough, whether it's demoitis or not, but they like the rough better than your mix. Any advice for those who are going through that? Because I feel like that's a very beginning stage issue that people run into. They did their best, but the client still likes their rough. Any outgoing words on that?
It's okay. Okay, that's fine. That's it. Because at the end of the day, you can't please everybody. Number one, and then I put it like this. It also depends on who's telling me that. To keep it 100, keep it hot. Because if it's a person that's not sonically trained, that doesn't really know certain things that we know, it's like, okay. Okay.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I think,
like asking
okay,
this
there's
question
something
to
to learn
people.
from that. There's something to learn from it. But there's also, it's okay to not get it right. Like, do better the next time.
It's
And
okay.
sometimes it's not even about doing better. Sometimes it's just the taste.
Yeah.
didn't line up.
Right, it's the taste. It's the taste, really, and that's my point too. I want people to hire me because they like my taste. You know,
I think not
just listening they're not listening because most people, they're just listening for clarity, quality. They're not listening for the how did you move the vocals over just a little bit to kind of give it a different groove. I do that all the time especially with rappers. They're not necessarily rapping in the pocket. So I move it over a little bit, and now it's kind of flowing a little bit versus how they had it, and it was just on the, you know what I'm saying? So,
I actually feel like that's a really important thing to note because sometimes if you mix it too good, you start showing the flaws in the performance. And I've noticed that sometimes even I'll listen back to the demo and be like, it felt better because it was blurrier,
right.
And because of that, certain imperfections were just kind of hidden. So I'll have to dial back what I did to take it back to the demo, and I feel like sometimes that's what they like.
You know what song I listened to that kind of made me feel a little crazy? Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak, Smoking Out the Window, right? You ever listen to that record and just listen to the mix of it? It's it's amazing record. It's my most favorite record in the world, top 10 record in the world. But it's the sound of it is very, it's kind of dull, it's kind of low, but it still sounds good. And it doesn't sound like another song. So how can someone reference something like that? You get what I'm saying?
The vibe.
Yeah, it's
right.
true.
You reference the vibe.
It's true.
But the way that I was doing it before was trying to make it sound like that. You get what I'm saying? Not necessarily make it feel like.
I think you're. I think you both are onto something here. Making something sound like another record, that's almost impossible, especially with the production, the vocal style, the microphone.
But
the
that's
room,
when we're taught music, when we're taught mixing, it's always reference to reference. I guess I didn't understand it. And
I think that could be a whole nother episode about how to listen and how to reference specifically. And it's not tonal; it's more vibe.
Emotional. Because at the end of the day,
sometimes
to just pick out.
I made a tweet the other day that a lot of people seem to be responding to, where I was like, "Yo, at no point have I ever thought, nor anyone out in the market, been like, you know what? I really like this song because it was recorded on a Yada Blada mic and going through a Shabba Dabba compressor. Like, at no point has anybody ever said anything remotely like that in the consumer market. They've just been like, I really like this song. Like, don't overthink it. Just go with the vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah, just go with the vibe, and that's it. And it's crazy when I started listening to music that way. I just heard wow, the vocal mix is not good, or the drums is not that strong, but the song is still hot. It's still popping. You get what I'm saying? It's all because of the vibe.
Yeah, I was listening to an old band yesterday that I used to listen to a lot, System of a Down, and I always really like their mixes, and to this day, even with fresh ears, I still appreciate what those mixes are. But I quickly realized how not great they are compared to today. So the funny thing is, am I really that mad that the mix wasn't actually that great? No, because when I was in high school, all I ever wanted to do was play Toxicity on guitar, or BYOB, or Sugar, or Metro, and all those records had me emotionally engaged. At no point was I like, oh, wait, that was a 57? Ugh.
Yeah. You could definitely listen to old music, and then and with us hearing new music now and comparing it, it's like those songs still rock. It don't matter. You get what I mean?
Absolutely. So the biggest takeaways, if kind of too long didn't read here, the summary here, Chase, we talked about the importance of being humble, yet learning to become confident, self-acceptance.
Yes.
We talked about the importance for you of education and being connected to people. The importance of resilience and sticking around and do it for so long. Referencing, we talked a little bit about referencing. We've talked a little bit about so many different concepts, so many different things. I'm hoping that listeners of the podcast will just really appreciate. Chase, it's so awesome. It's so awesome to have you on the show.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. This was awesome. This was dope, man. I want to do this more often.
Yeah, and tell us, how can people reach out to you and find you? What is your Instagram tag?
My Instagram tag is Chasestyle, Chasestyle. You can pretty much put that on anything. You probably find me. But Instagram, I'm more active on. Just hit me up. Anybody looking for any advice or any mixing services and stuff like that, just holler at me there.
Awesome. Hit up Chasestyle at Chasestyle.
Hit up Chasestyle at Chasestyle.
That's right. That's right.
Man. And again, thank you guys for having me on and talking with me and busting my cherry on this podcast.
Oh yeah.
Is this your first one?
Yeah, it's my first one.
Good.
And what's crazy when me and you spoke about us doing this, maybe like 4 other people hit me up after, like on some like divine timing thing, random, because I never. And I wanted to speak with you first because I knew I would be more comfortable with you first. You get what I'm saying? So, and then more people started hitting me up randomly. Hey, we want to do an interview with you. We're like, oh, really? Oh, sure. Hell yeah, let's do it. So this was cool.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for letting us talk and for letting everybody learn. We appreciate you getting on. If you're interested, real quick, shout out to our sponsor. And we're going to ask you, Chase. We thank you for sponsoring the show, iZotope. If you're interested in getting 10% off of any iZotope products, go to iZotope.com/MM podcast. They have a 10% off code for any of their products, as well as an extended trial period for their monthly subscription packages. So instead of a 7-day free trial, if you go to that link, you'll get a whole 30 days. Chase, I know you use some iZotope stuff.
One thing, secret code. I'm just gonna give you a secret.
Tell us the secret code.
Right? I don't know. I'm obsessed with it. I don't know how many people like do processing on their mix bus. I know a lot of people don't. I do. Right? What I use Ozone 9 Exciter. I'm obsessed with that shit.
Yes.
I'm obsessed with that.
I love it. Like that shit. Dude, use the tube with the oversample on. Use tube on anything below 80 hertz.
So oversampling, real quick, guys. I know we're about to get into some shit. Oversampling. I'm still trying to understand the oversampling, to be honest with you.
Well, basically, you're just scanning it multiple times over so that whatever changes you make, you get a little more refined detail out of it.
So, yeah, it's just upsamples everything. So if you're working 48,
40 for 1, you can do like 96.
Yeah. So it like upsamples the plugin.
Now, does it actually make it sound better? I've heard some plugins that sound exactly the same. Which
it's to prevent aliasing with distortion.
Yeah, exactly. But like distortion. I've noticed that if you do it with FabFilter, like something suddenly sounds like it opened up. So I don't know what magical wizard is behind the codes there, but but iZotope literally has like that. I kid you not, that Exciter is amazing.
That Exciter, it's amazing.
So we can
you can pick out certain frequencies that you really want to touch and kind of bring out more whatever kind of feeling you're trying to get. Mm-hmm.
So what's your secret? What's a low end, mid range, the whole thing, top end? What's kind of like a setting that you like to go to?
Completely distorted highs.
What's your thing that you like to go to?
I like anywhere in between maybe 300 and 5, right? Turn that Exciter on and maybe the tube, and just kind of like just touch it a little bit. Just pull it up, pull the amount up a little bit, just to see what it does, and then pull it back down, and then A and B that shit. Crazy. It's gonna change.
There you go. So the mid range, exciting the mid range a little bit. I love it.
It's getting me excited.
Yeah.
So if you're interested on a discount for any of that, or like an extended trial period, go to iZotope.com/MM podcast. All right.
Yes, sir.
Well, on that note, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time, Chase.
Yeah, appreciate you guys for sure.
Of course. And on that note, happy mixing, my friends, and stay saucy.
Yeah.